Alright, so here's where things get a little tricky. You are working off of network accounts. The network accounts have a limited amount of storage, as you may well have understood. If you're saving files that are 6, 7 gigs on your network, it's going to slow down the entire network. Also, iMovie has some sort of weird bug that won't allow you to work or save off of the network. I've looked around, and from what I can tell, there's no real true solution. So what we have to do is we have to actually get out of our user accounts and edit these using iMovie on the student account. So the trick here is to make sure that you have your video file with you when you move over to the student account, because when you move to the student account, your video files basically stays trapped in your user account. If you have a flash drive, the easiest thing you can do is put your video file on the flash drive and then pull it off of that. If you don't have a flash drive, what you can do is you can come into your Finder window and locate the file that says Macintosh HD. If you don't have one that says Macintosh HD or hard drive or something a similar name or style, what you need to do is select any file. I don't care which file it is, and go down, and you're going to see in the bottom here a path. Now mine says Mr. Brown, that's my username, documents, and then the name of the file. If you don't have a path down here to look at, go to View, Show Path Bar. When the path bar is there, I want you to click on Applications, because Applications is a local drive rather than your desktop or others, which are on a network drive. So if you go to Applications, you're going to be able to see Macintosh HD or hard drive or disk 7. I don't know what it's going to be called, but you're going to have the little icon of a hard drive followed by the name. If you click on the Macintosh HD in the status bar or in the path bar, you can drag it to your side under favorites and it'll stay there. So now that's a permanent link. So now what you do is you drag your exported movie file to the hard drive. It's going to say to authenticate. That's okay. The authentication for you is going to be student. You move it to your hard drive. Okay, when you've done this, you've moved it to your hard drive, you're going to log out, you're going to log into student. Again, for whatever reason, iMovie will not allow us to edit these movies on our network accounts. So moving it to the hard drive allows me to then access my file from the hard drive on the student account. The easier way, again, remember, I'm just reiterating this, so if some of you are like, you've already said this, it's Monday, sometimes you need extra little reminders. When you render this out, or when you've got it on the hard drive, you can also put it on a flash drive and pull it directly from the flash drive. Either way will work. Okay. Yes.
You can use a Google Drive too. That's really easy.
Okay, Google Drive works too. Whatever will work. The problem with Google Drive is it takes a little while to upload the file, or Dropbox.com will work. The idea behind this is just to quickly and effectively be able to have access to your file on the student account. Flash drives I really like, or you can put it on the hard drive, or again, as Sam said, you can put it on Google Drive or Dropbox or another online storage system. Regardless of how you get it there, once you've done that, you're going to log out, log into the student account, and open up iMovie. We'll give our iMovie a second to open up. Okay, so here I have, and I don't know why this is actually in my imported video files, but when you look at iMovie, you're going to get a layout that looks something like this. Okay. You're going to have a bunch of videos down here most likely, and then you're going to have a little video project library up in here. Actually, it's probably going to look more like this. This is more likely what your setup's going to look like. So the first thing that we need to do is import in our video file. Okay, so our video file is on my hard drive. You might also find it on a flash drive, wherever you put it. So I'm going to go ahead and go File, Import Movies. Locate my file. Mine again. It's on the hard drive. So I'm going to locate it and import it in. That's going to give me a file that has all of my videos in it. Everything looks pretty. It's going to work out just fine. If it doesn't come in, if it gives you an error message, then you may not be in the student account, so you're going to want to double check that. If it still gives you error messages, just let me know and I'll see what I can do to fix that. So the next step, so all we've done right now is we've just imported a source video. Whenever you're doing non-linear video editing, you're going to have a series of source files and then you're going to try to drag them to some sort of timeline, whether it's iMovie, Premiere, Final Cut, Vegas, Acid. No, I think Acid's another Sony product. It doesn't matter. Avid is what I was thinking of. Sorry. It's going to give you a source clip file and a timeline. We've just imported this into our source clip file. So I missed this step, but it doesn't matter because you can do this really in any order. But right now, before I start creating a new project or creating my movie, I need to create a project file. So I go to File, New Project, give the project a name. So for instance, on this one, and this is your name is gonna come important on this. So this one I'm gonna call it Roger Brown 1A. Aspect ratio, if you were working in Flash, your aspect ratio is standard 4:3. Unless you specifically told it to be a widescreen format, the 550 by 440 or whatever is closer to standard than it is to widescreen. So you go ahead and click standard. Frame rate is 30 frames per second. I drop down and choose 24 frames per second because most of Flash uses 24 frames per second as its timeline. If you use 12 frames per second, when you go to drag your video in, and it'll say the source clip doesn't match the project settings, and you can automatically change the project settings to match the source clip. So you go ahead and hit create, and all that does is that gives me a blank project right here. Okay, you may also see it look like this. That's my preferred method. I like, just because of the way that I've always edited, whether in After Effects or iMovie or Final Cut or whatever, I like having my timeline in the bottom and my source clips in the top. Again, doesn't really matter. It's all about a matter of personal preferences. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab this folder or this file, and I just drag it down. Now this is in my timeline. Okay, if I watch it, looks good. Okay, I can export this out and save it as a movie, but I haven't done anything, so that would be kind of foolish. I'm going to go to the sound effects. You've got iTunes music that you can work with. I like the iLife sound effects if there's something you want. So let's say a bounce. I could type in bounce. Let me go to iMovie. It looks like there's a basketball bounce. Let me play it. Okay, I can look in iMovie sound effects and see if there's any bounce. There isn't. I could look up, I know that boing is one of them that people use, cartoon boing. And what you do is you find the sound clip you want, you click it, and you drag it over to your timeline. If you drag it to the background, it just turns blue, or I mean, sorry, it turns green. And when you let go, it just plays in the background. If you wanted to play at a specific point, you grab the sound effect and you drop it at a certain point. So right there, I can drag it and drop it, and then I can come out and keep dragging them to try to match. Actually, that one isn't where I want it. Right there's where I want it. So, and then it does a little bit, doesn't it? I never noticed that. Maybe that's how they made it. Okay, and I'll throw one there. Throw one there. And I guess that's it. So now when I watch my movie, well, that was exciting. What's going on here? Okay, so I didn't quite get it where I wanted it to be, but it worked for the purposes of this demonstration. You also have text that you can drag. You can drag text right over top of the scene and just call it, ball bounce. That gives you a title right there. Okay, you can, if you don't want to drag it onto your video, you can go beforehand, drag it behind the video, and it gives you this little title text here. You can choose blobs, underwater. I like underwater. And you type in your title text, ball, bounce. Now, one thing that's problematic that every student does. This video is 3 seconds. This credit is 4 seconds. Can anybody see anything wrong with that? Your credit should never be longer than your video itself. Watch how boring this is. Okay, boring, right? So you can cut that down significantly. Like, I think 1 second is probably fine. If you, oops, I need to change the duration of this too. So let's see, about 1 second. If you feel like it's necessary, you want to keep that time low. You can also do credits, but again, it's a matter of trying to remember entertainment-wise. You don't need 40 seconds of credits for a 3-second film. When you're done, when all's said and done, you go to Share, Export using QuickTime, give it a name, turn it in. That's the long and the short of it. A lot about this stuff with iMovie is intuitive. So if you just sit down and start playing with it, you can do some pretty cool stuff. So I'll leave you with these 2 videos, Flash Export, and this will be Flash to iMovie. And then you can work for the remainder of the day, and we'll go from there.